So, herzlich willkommen im GuitarPoint bei der Vintage Show 2018. Ich darf euch vorstellen, ich glaube, Einleitung ist gar nicht nötig, Bernie Marsden. Herzlich willkommen.
Thank you. Whatever he said, I agree. It's nice to be here and see there's a few women here. This is really good. Women can love guitars as well, so that's really cool. I came to this shop a couple of years ago, and Detlef and I have been friends for quite a long time, but I'd never actually been to the store, and I thought I'd walked into a dream. And I was with Paul Reed Smith, who confirmed that he was also in a dream. This is such a cool store, and one of the best vintage guitar in Europe. So you're lucky to have it. We have nothing really like this where I live, which makes my wife very happy. So she's dreading me leaving tomorrow because she knows I've been here for a couple of days. So I'm going to play a couple of guitars. They may look very similar, but there's a big difference between some of them. And this guitar belongs to this young man over here. And this is number 10 of the reissue of my guitar, which is known as the Beast. And this is number 10, isn't it? Number 10. So I have number 1, and he has number 10. How did that work out? That's all right. So I only met this guitar today, but it feels like an old friend. So it's what these things do. This is a reissue of one of these guitars I'm going to play in a while. And the difference between this one and one of these is probably your house. Or maybe more. And the difference between them is monetary, but really the difference between them as playing is what you put into it. And I sanctioned these guitars from Gibson 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Time flies. And they made 300 of these, and they sold out before they left the factory. And they kind of privately said to me, "Oh, I wish we'd made more." You know, but, they talked about making some more. I said, "Well, tell the guy who bought number 300 that he met the guy who bought 301. He's not going to be very happy." So that's what happened. So this is a pretty faithful. It is. I kind of forget it's a new guitar because it does look the same, and it plays the same and sounds pretty close. And so I'll just play something. You know, maybe we'll use this thing. I don't know. Let's have a look. Is it working? These guitars, these Les Paul guitars were made in the 50s, and they were not made for rock and roll like the way that I grew up with them. They were made for like this kind of, and they failed. So by 1960, Gibson stopped making them. And then Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and everybody, Michael Bloomfield in America, they started using these old guitars, and Gibson realized they'd made a very big mistake. So they started making them again. But they were never quite the same again until these things started to happen about 8 years ago. And these are very, very close to the original guitars. So if I play, this guitar would do with this. You can get that. take that off, you have a regular guitar, which still sounds pretty cool. Something like that. So that's the kind of thing that this one. No. Okay. You know, I used to dread when I was a kid going into guitar stores because guys would play fantastic chords and play nice. I think, well, I could never do this, you know, and whatever you want to do. Then you kind of get to realize that you do your own thing, and that's the important thing, is to play the way you want to play, not like anybody else. Try and be a hero, but you can never really do it. So I'm still trying to play like some of the people I grew up with. I think if I lose that desire, I'd probably quit playing. So should we go on to one of these? So that's that one. Let's go on to something a bit more contemporary. What should we have? Can we have this? This one? Yeah. Better keep the strap.
Yeah.
This one is not for sale, right? Maybe I'll buy that one.
Everything is for sale.
Soll ich sie hier hinstellen?
So this is what is this one? I'm not very prepared for this, as you can tell. I think this is a 59. So this is like the original version of the one I just played. Is this 59? This 59, this one 58. Anybody from the shop here? This is a 59, yeah. So let's see what this one does. So straight away, the older pickups have more, not so much volume, they have a different tone. It's just a little bit, it appears to sound louder, but I think if you were to measure the actual output, you would find that it's probably close. It's just the way that the wood reacts to my, you know, I've played a lot of these guitars over the years. If you put this on, there's not much between them. It plays really good. This is a guitar that same era as mine, and the one that Gary Moore played, and which was Peter Green's guitar. That's a guitar I played a lot through the 80s. I think that guitar is with Kirk Hammett now. He has that guitar. Is that right? I think that's right. So Peter would have done maybe this. You know that one? I'll tell you a story about that. I was with Peter Green about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And I was talking to him about all the great songs that he'd written. And I would say, you know, what about this one? Turn your back on me, baby. And he went, yeah. I said, that's a really great song. And he'd say, yeah, well, I stole that from Howlin' Wolf. So, okay. Okay, so then I play another one. He said, Sonny Boy Williams. So I say, okay, what about this? Jimmy Reed. I say, so you didn't write anything? No, not really. So by that time I was feeling kind of confident with him, you know. It's just me and him in a hotel room, and it was in a very beautiful part of England called the Lake District. And out of the windows, this fantastic lake, beautiful setting with mountains around and stuff. And I said, okay, so if you didn't write any songs, where did this come from? So I went, and he looked looked at me with his eyes going like,
From AC/DC.
I said, looking at it, he said, play it again. I said, okay. I said, where did that come from? He said, I don't know. He said, you're playing it wrong. So I'm with my hero, thinking, I just want to drown in this water. I want to jump out of the window. And he showed me. He said, I said, well, I was trying to be cool and a rock star, failing. And I said, well, will you show me what it is? So he said, yeah. So Peter Green showed me how to play the riff from Oh Well. So I have to play it correctly. So it's this. Everybody thinks it's this. But it isn't. It's this. It's a B flat, okay? Fantastic. If you play the B side of Oh Well, which is the only side that Peter really cared about, it makes all the sense for this. So that was connected to. He said, you did that wrong as well. So we had a pleasant afternoon, and I just thought, well, that's what happens when you find a record when you're 18 years old. And as soon as you think you know what you're playing, you can play correctly. So only 3 weeks ago, I was in Abbey Road with Ginger Baker, which I thought was a very brave thing to do. And we've done some sessions of the last year or so, and we did Crossroads. And at the end of if you guys might be familiar with the old Crossroads thing, and at the end it goes, I'm standing at a crossroads, I believe I'm... And it goes... like that. So we did the track, and I stopped it at the end, and he stopped, and I went... But Ginger slowed it down. But he didn't slow it down. He slows it down on the record, but when we did it live, he didn't slow it down. So I said, oh, so I didn't play it correctly, I thought. And he looked at me like, I thought, oh no, I'm going to die. I said, oh, you changed the ending? And he said, did I? And the whole studio was going, what's going to happen now? You know? He said, oh, we'll do it again then. So at the end, and we got right to the end, and I became strangely nervous after playing for 40 years. And he looked at me, eyeballing me, as we got to... And I tried not to go. And he looked at me and went... Just a very small wink in the eye. So now I'm very okay with Ginger Baker. It just, I think, explains that no matter how old or how long you've been playing, you still have to be kind of together and prepared to change things slightly if you want to do things. And many times I've been showed my own music from people from Whitesnake time and said, you know, oh, I play this like this. And I say, why do you play it like that? That's really difficult. And they say, show me how to play it. There's a riff from Whitesnake, a song called Come On, which is this. Which is pretty straightforward. I've seen guys playing it up here, you know, just like making real hard work of it. And they said, no. I said, why do you play it so make it so difficult? And they said, oh, because you're a professional. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. You know, it's just do it the way it sounds better. You've tried it. That's why some things are always in A or some things because they sound better. So that's good. So this is a 59 Les Paul. This is one of the great relics and the holy grail of guitars. And there happen to be about 7 or 8 of them in this shop, which is amazing. this guitar, if you drive this through a bigger amp, make a big more, this kind of, gives it that edge, obviously. But you'll get the sound of that through a straight amp with this guitar, any of these guitars, at a high volume with a Marshall rig or whatever, something with an overdrive. I mean, my good friend of mine you probably know, is Joe Bonmassa. He's playing through, I think, 3 or 4 of these on stage these days. He gets a great sound through them. You don't have to have the big stack these days, but everything is kind of relative. You go around and get your own sound. It's okay for Joe. He has quite a few guitars and amplifiers, so he can choose whenever he wants, really. But that's pretty good. And I like to play through these kind of things. I like the sound of this guitar on its own. It's pretty cool. It's nice. Is this one for sale? Could be. Talk to Deadlift. I have one or 2. So let's have a go on one of these. We're going to take this one now. This is a very famous guitar. Thank you. Can we have that one there? Oh, it has a strap on. Careful, Thomas.
Yeah.
Be careful, Thomas. That's all right, I'll take that. So this one belongs to a young man I've met today. A young man from Paris in France. I have strings older than him. And this guitar, he's had about 6 months. And he purchased this guitar from Joe Bonmassa. This is the famous Spot Les Paul. Have you heard of that one? No. Well, you have now. You have now. He's over here. Are you going to come and play? You going to come and play? Yeah. You're in there. This is Matt from Paris, France. There's an amplifier. Whatever do you want to use one of these?
Yeah.
It's very old. It's out of tune. Is this amp plugged in? Where's Fred? Fred! Fred! Help! It's okay. I guess you should play your guitar, really. Can we plug this amp in for it?
Which one?
Which one did you want?
Yeah, this one.
No, I'm in that one, I think. I'm in that one.
Yeah, okay. And the other one?
We're in tune. As you can see, we're very rehearsed. school. Thank you, man. You know, when you play like that with people who... He's 24 years old, man, and then he has this kind of guitar that is only a dream to people of... so you're very lucky.
Thank you.
So look after it, and and this will look after you. So,
Right.
that's good. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. It's well played. Well played. So I'm going to play this acoustic guitar. There you go. That's great. Not quite sure what this is going to do, if you can hear it. You won't hear it if I don't plug it in, will you? So that's all. Where was I going to plug this in? Maybe I won't plug it in. Fred! Fred! Everybody needs Fred. Don't ask me, I just play the things. I have no idea what.
You have no idea.
Oh, that's easy. Well, that was easy, wasn't it?
Wait.
Okay. Can you hear that? Everybody hear it? Yeah. Okay, good. Good. So there's lots of guitars to see in here, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Anybody have any questions before I do anything else? Anybody want to ask anything? Stop talking, you French people. See, I can speak French. Ferme. Okay. Anybody want to ask anything at all? Be brave. Come on, you can ask me anything at all. I might not tell you the truth, but I'll give you an answer.
I've got one question.
Oh, good.
How does your original Beast compare to the remake, tone-wise?
Well, the modern pickups are different,
Yeah.
so you have a slightly different sound.
Yeah.
Because that's why the PAFs are so unique. But for as I say, the difference between, for purchasing one, these are really, really fine.
If you play them
guitars.
at home and into the same amp?
I played my first, the number one. I played it at a gig. It was like a friend's party in the afternoon, and I took it along.
Yeah.
And I broke a string on the other guitar. And then very quickly somebody passed me the other one, and in the middle of the song I forgot I was not playing the other one.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was in a kind of a different, it's the kind of situation we have here.
Yeah.
I may have noticed the difference if I'd have been in front of 5,000 people, but they play really good. What can I tell you? I don't have to sell them; they're all sold. So it's,
Thank you so much.
But they are very, very good. Well, ask the owner is where is he? He's here. Ask him; he'll know more about this than I do because I play the old one all the time. Well, no, Joe Bonmassa plays the old one all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you get to join Whitesnake?
I was the last one to turn up.
Yeah, I know.
Is that right? That's right. I was. I worked with John Lord, rest in peace, and Ian Pace in a thing called Pace Ashton Lord. And at the end of that, in fact, we recorded here in Germany, in Musicland, in Munich. And that was going to be the next big thing, but it didn't happen. And it's a very good record. I recommend anybody who's... My friend Thomas, he has a copy of it. And it sold nothing, but it's a very good record. But at the end of it, I had the chance to join Paul McCartney's group. And I had the possibility to join the group. And at the same time I was waiting for an answer from Wings, David Coverdale asked me if I would be in his new group.
Very different music.
Very different. I was 25 years old or something, and Mull of Kintyre was #1 at Christmas. And my girlfriend, I was watching Mull of Kintyre on TV, and my girlfriend, who's now still my wife, so that worked out well. I was watching the TV show, and I must have been doing this. And I turned around, and she said, "You're not going to do that, are you?" I said, she said, "You could do this guy from Deep Purple, you know, it's going to be, that's more you." And I said, "Yeah, I think it's right." So I had to call up the McCartney office and say, "Well, thank you for considering me, but I have to unconsider myself now." And they weren't very happy. So, but, you know, without that, I would not be sitting here today. I would just been one of Paul McCartney's guitar players in the 70s. So I think she made the right decision for you. So that's what she tells me these days anyway, so I just made the right decision. So that's how Whitesnake began. And it was I went really with David because he asked me if I would go down, because they were auditioning drummers. And because, "Hi, Mum," and he said, "Would you come down because you've worked with Cozy Powell and you've worked with Ian Pace and Simon Phillips. I'd like your opinion on the drummers." And all of them were terrible. And he said, but just as I was leaving, he said, "Bring your guitar with you." So that's when we started to play. And there was me, David and Moody, and that was how then we started to put the band together after that. So that was day one until the end of Saints and Sinners. Yeah. But Germany was big for Whitesnake, but we were doing very well here. And then we did 10 days with AC/DC in 1980, I think it was. Yeah, Back in Black. And we were selling, I think, 50,000 records in Germany and, you know, Switzerland, Austria. And we did 10 days with AC/DC, and we sold 500,000 records. So I love AC/DC. And we got along really well. And David, we were due to go to America with them in the following year. It was 1980, yeah. It was the year that John Lennon was killed. And he broke his leg on stage in Saarbrücken, I think it was. So we had to cancel the last week of the tour, and then we couldn't go to America. And I always have kind of believed that if we'd have gone to America with the first lineup of Whitesnake, that we would have done as well in America in those days as we did in Europe and Japan. But it was never to happen, and then everything fell apart a year later, and I was going to call Paul McCartney, but he wouldn't take my call. So, I mean, I was 30 years old at the end of my time in Whitesnake, and to think that, you know, I'd still be talking about this all these years later. But you don't think about that at the time, and you expect nothing really than that, oh, well, that's that, on to the next thing now. You know, you're never going to do that again. But I've never stopped working, really, since. Done lots of different things. But Whitesnake was the big, obviously, because of Whitesnake, then I can come and talk to you, you guys all over the world. And then when they re-recorded the song that I'm going to sing in a minute, play, that made a big difference to, for me and everybody. It put me back on the map kind of thing. And I didn't expect it, but it sold, I think, 25, 30 million records. So that was really how that worked out. Any more? They were looking very serious.
You're in Germany.
In Germany, yeah. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Yeah. But we do have the World Cup coming up, so you're probably going to win that again anyway. So.
You are a great man.
Thanks, man. But I think music is international. We can go anywhere and play. And this year I've been in America twice. I've been playing in Japan back in December, and it's a nice thing to be able to do and come out. That's why it's so cool to come to something like this and this is like a candy store for me, and for you guys, Unfortunately, the candy show's on me, but it's not so bad. But the guitars are okay. So thank you. I'll be here. So if you want to, if somebody wants a card for this, advertising PRS guitars, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This is my Bernie Marsden model, and he doesn't have not one in this. He does have one round the back, but that's a pretty cool guitar. The guitar is based on these. So without these guitars, there would not be this guitar. So anyway, let's have a go at this. I don't know where seem to find what I'm looking for. Lord, I pray you give me the strength to carry on. I know how it feels just to walk along the lonely street of dreams. Here I go again on my own. Can you sing? Down the only road I've ever known. And like a hobo, I was born to walk alone. And I made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. Here I go again. Here I go again. I'm just another heart in need of rescue, waiting on love's sweet charity. And I'm gonna hold on for the rest of my days. I know how it feels just to walk along the lonely street of dreams. Here I go again on my own. On my own, yes. Down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone. Made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. Drums, here I go again. Here I go again. I knew it would be you. Here I go again. Here I go again. Here I go again. Dankeschön. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you very much.